that is as good as it gets. It's over. It's finally over. Sony is waving the fucking white towel. It's done. Sony's Spider-Man universe is officially dead for now. And it kind of sucks because people might lose their jobs and whatever. But really, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty fucking good news. I don't know how many Sony Spider-Man things that I made on the channel. I believe when we first started making videos like this, I think one of the first ones I made was saving Sony Spider-Man. And the answer, and I can dumb it down so you really don't need to go watch that video if you don't want to, it kind of ended with this. Just put fucking Spider-Man in it. So ultimately what it meant was stop making Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man and just put Spider-Man in it, because you have Andrew Garfield sitting quite literally right there. Like, the answer to this problem was so fucking simple. It wasn't, sure, you'd have to pay him a lot of money, you'd actually have to put effort into making really good movies, but I think that maybe we can make that sacrifice. I don't know, maybe we could try to do a good job. Just a thought. But clearly, we're asking for too much. But lo and behold, Sony didn't do that. They dropped several more Sony movies after that. And alas, shockingly, each one was a failure. All of them. Every single one. Even the one that looks semi-interesting, well, I guess Venom 3 did alright. Did it? That flopped too. I don't know, it didn't, the reviews were good. I didn't watch it, because I'm not doing this anymore. But it looked fine, and the trailers looked fine, and I don't know if it killed at the box office. I think that was the only one. Those Venom IPs were the only ones that may have pulled in some money, because they were the ones that were shocking, closely attached to Spider-Man, and also had Tom Hardy. That doesn't hurt. And this Kraven one looked interesting enough because it was R-rated, but then the reviews, the audience scores, and the Rotten Tomatoes and everything come out. I don't even know if the movie's come out yet, but none of it points to looking good. And normally I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes all that much, but I'm gonna take their judgment on this one, because these movies aren't good. And I'm not gonna be doing a Kraven reaction or review, because that would require me to go watch the Kraven movie. And from what I've heard about the Kraven movie, it's really not worth seeing. Like, rated R element might bring some interestingness to it, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, you know, bring some interesting-ish to it, but ultimately what it kind of boils down to is that this is just another Sony Spider-Man movie that doesn't have Spider-Man, and it once again did not have Spider-Man involved in it or mention Spider-Man in any way. Everything could be solved with Sony if you just put Spider-Man in your Spider-Man projects. I don't know why you don't. I really don't get it. You're not contractually, at least from what all the reports are, you're not contractually stuck on not putting Spider-Man in. You just won't do it. And with the multiversal thing, it's so fucking easy to do. Like, literally can't fuck it up. You have two Spider-Man sitting on the sideline with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And the only reasons why you wouldn't use them is because I guess they're getting up there in age, maybe. But, like, Garfield was more of a popular choice than Tobey Maguire was, obviously, just because he's younger and his story was really not finished. And you just insisted on not doing it. And maybe you didn't do it because you couldn't convince him to do it, but you couldn't convince him to do it only because you keep making shitty movies and he just wanted it to be done right. And you fucked it up still. And could you imagine if you just, like, you didn't even have to make The Amazing Spider-Man 3, you could just have him appear in these movies in some capacity, and then it would have built up even more hype for a fucking, you know, would have built up even more hype for the Avengers movies that are coming out. And I know that might not make you money, but with Spider-Man 4, Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 being on the horizon, it's sounding like it's going to be about Noel and the Sony villains and the Sinister Six and probably Toby and Andrew coming back and getting their finale. Well, I think they're going to get their end, and I don't know if they're going to die. If they die, that would suck. But I don't, you know, characters are going to get their ending in the Avengers movies, but it sounds like that they're probably going to be coming back for Spider-Man 4, potentially. But still, it's such a fucking easy fix, and you just didn't do it. I can't say that I'm sad about the Sony. I'm sad, you know, people might lose their jobs, and I'm sad that, you know, Spider-Man movies are looked at in such a down light, but that's what's going to happen. If you put in no effort at all, your movies are going to fail. It's the reason why you're seeing such a massive shift in the way Marvel are doing things now, is that they're actually trying to put effort into these films, and the ones that they're just pumping out at this moment are ones that they filmed before they decided to turn the effort around, that they were actually going to put effort into the movies, i.e. Captain America 4, that has changed fucking scripts 97 times with the same footage, just trying to get this thing out in some capacity to make a movie that audiences might like. Isn't that insane? They've like that movie so many times. And with the Kraven movie being the last one that Sony does for now, the reports that are coming out is that Sony is now going to be finally focusing on more Spider-Man projects that actually have Spider-Man in them, i.e. Beyond the Spider-Verse, the Spider-Man Noir series. There were rumblings of a Spider-Man 2099 series. Right? Or did I make that up? I think that's correct. Spider-Man Noir will do well with Nicolas Cage. Beyond the Spider-Verse will obviously do well. It sucks that it got delayed to 2026, but if you have to take time to make a good project, that's fine. I'm not really stoked about the whole year gap in between the animated movies thing, but I get it. They're really well done animated movies. The last one, in my opinion, was the best Spider-Man movie ever made. So let the fucking guys do what they need to do for it. There's also reports coming out that the Sony Spider-Man verse is on pause. It's not really dead. It's just kind of now it's dead. And there's been reports that they've been discussing potentially bringing in a new Spider-Man to play the role of Peter Parker in their Spider-Man verse instead of Andrew Garfield, instead of a Tobey Maguire. And a lot of people are upset about that. However, I don't think I am that upset about it, only because I know that Tobey and Andrew are probably going to be wrapped up with their stories in the Avengers movies. And so long as you keep making Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and so long as you keep making Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in their own Spider-Man stories, where does it really end, and where is the desire to match them back up with Tom's Spider-Man? I don't know, but I guess you can say that the same thing if you bring in a new Spider-Man, is that there's always going to be interest to match them up in a multiversal way. However, I think that Tobey and Andrew's Spider-Man probably need an ending here soon. If you would have asked me a couple years ago, I would have said, yeah, get fucking Andrew Garfield back in here, but you waited 4 years and you never pulled the trigger on it. So introducing a new Spider-Man and a new person to play Peter Parker, I don't hate that idea. Even if it's a Miles Morales, I don't hate that idea. I don't think it will be Miles Morales, because I think that they're going to use Miles in the MCU. You do a live-action Spider-Gwen. Maybe that's the Spider-Man, the Sony Spider-Man. Maybe. I think an idea. I don't hate that necessarily, because I don't think Spider-Gwen's going to show up in the MCU. The only problem is with the Spider-Gwen thing is that, kind of establish Gwen, and you're going to have to start making solo movies because you need to establish her. I'm not opposed to that idea, actually. But right now it's starting to sound like it's just going to be a new actor playing Spider-Man, which is fine. If you do it right, why not do an older Spider? Well, I guess you want to do it for a while. I don't know. Or you could maybe convince, I would love it if you just had Tom Holland appear in more Spider-Man movies. I think that's the one bad thing about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, the deal between Sony and the MCU, is that Sony doesn't want MCU to use Spider-Man as much as they were, or as much as they can, because still very protective of that character, which I wish they would just sell it because they're doing such a terrible job with it. But I would love it if Tom Holland's Spider-Man showed up in fucking the Fantastic Four and the X-Men movies and the Deadpool movies and the fucking Avengers movies. And I wish Tom Holland's Spider-Man honestly had his own Spider-Man show. They'll never do that, but do you imagine the Spider-Man movie, a Spider-Man show similar to the Daredevil show? Them taking down low-level crime and fighting the Kingpin, is the best format in my eyes, but I don't think that's going to happen. But Sony could do that. Now, they want to make movies because they want to make big bucks, but, you're going to make a Spider-Man Noir show. I don't know, just a suggestion. But yeah, Spider-Man universe is dead, which is good. And can't wait to see what they do next, because it sounds like they're heading down the right path, finally. However, it is Sony, so them fucking it up is not out of the question either. It's actually likely that they will. But yeah, pretty much all I wanted to add. I just wanted to cover it. and semi-celebrate it. Not really celebrate it, but like, because we might actually be getting good Spider-Man shit in the future. But it's Sony, so again, they could fuck it up, and it's actually likely they will. So I'm not going to get too excited right now, but it sounds like we're going to get more Spider-Man. And more Spider-Man is good in my eyes. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, love, adios, goodbye.